Right now, there are people on this planet, millions of them, walking miles every single day just to get water. And most of that water, it's not even safe to drink. But here's the thing. Our planet is covered in water. 71% of it. The ocean is right there. Enormous. Full of water. So why are people dying of thirst? The answer comes down to one word. Salt. Seawater has so much salt in it that drinking it would actually kill you faster than not drinking anything at all. Your kidneys would go into overdrive trying to flush it out, and you'd die dehydrated. Now here's where it gets interesting. What if I told you there's a way to strip all that salt out? Using something you could build yourself for around $10, no factory, no electricity bill, no complicated machine, just some basic materials, a clear day, and a little bit of science that honestly should be taught in every school on Earth. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how this works. We're going to talk about a process called solar distillation, what it is, why it works, how you can actually build one, and why this simple trick has been used to save lives in emergencies all over the world. By the end of this video, you will understand something that most people walk past every single day without realizing. And if you ever find yourself stuck somewhere without clean water, and I hope you never do, you'll know what to do. Let's get into it. When salt dissolves in water, it breaks apart into tiny particles called ions. These ions spread out evenly through every drop of water. You can't see them. You can't filter them out with a cloth or a paper towel. They're too small for that regular water filters. They can remove bacteria. They can remove dirt. But dissolved salt, it passes right through. That's the problem. The salt and the water are mixed together at a molecular level. To separate them, you need to think differently. You don't pull the salt out of the water. You pull the water out of the salt. And that is the entire secret behind solar distillation. What is solar distillation? Here's how nature does it every single day. The sun heats the ocean. The water near the surface starts to evaporate, and it turns into vapor and rises up into the air. But the salt can't evaporate. It's too heavy, so it stays behind. The water vapor rises, cools, forms clouds, and eventually falls back down as rain. Pure, fresh, drinkable rain. That's the whole water cycle, and it's basically the world's biggest distillation machine. Now think about this. What if you could build a tiny version of that in your backyard, or on a beach, or in the middle of nowhere? That's exactly what a solar still does. You create a small, enclosed space. The sun heats salt water inside it. The water evaporates. The vapor rises and hits a cool surface, usually a piece of clear plastic. It condenses into droplets. Those droplets slide down into a collection container, and what comes out is clean, salt-free water. The salt never moves. It stays stuck at the bottom. Only the pure water escapes. Okay, here's the part you actually came for. Let's talk about the build. You need 4 things: a large, dark-colored bowl or container, a smaller cup that fits inside it, a piece of clear plastic wrap, and something heavy, like a small rock or a coin. That's it. You can get all of this at a dollar store for under $10. And if you're in a real emergency, you can improvise most of it from things you'd find nearby. Here's what you do. Pour your salt water into the big outer bowl. Place the empty smaller cup in the center. Make sure it's shorter than the rim of the outer bowl, and make sure no salt water gets inside it. That cup is where your clean water will collect. Stretch the clear plastic wrap tightly over the top of the big bowl. Seal the edges as best you can. Then, place your small rock right in the center of the plastic, directly above the empty cup. It should make a low point, a little dip, right above the cup. Now set the whole thing in direct sunlight and wait. The sun heats the salt water. Water vapor fills the space under the plastic. It hits the cooler plastic surface and condenses into droplets. Those droplets slide toward the lowest point, the dip you made with the rock, and drip down into the clean cup below. In a few hours, on a good, sunny day, you'll have drinkable water collecting at the bottom of that cup. Simple, cheap, it works. But here's the interesting part, and this is the thing most people don't realize. This doesn't just work on salt water. It works on dirty water, muddy water, water that smells bad, water you pulled out of a swamp. The evaporation process leaves behind basically everything, not just salt, but bacteria, chemicals, even some heavy metals. What rises up as vapor is almost entirely just water molecules molecules, pure H2O. So you're not just desalinating, you're distilling. And distillation is one of the oldest and most reliable purification methods humans have ever discovered. It gets even crazier when you look at where this has actually been used in the real world. Solar stills have been used in survival situations for decades. The U.S. military issued instructions for building them to soldiers during World War II. Survivalist guides have recommended them for years. But here's a story that really stuck with me. In 1952, a man named Alain Bombard crossed the Atlantic Ocean alone in a tiny inflatable boat. No food, no fresh water stored aboard. He survived for 65 days by eating raw fish and drinking small amounts of seawater, carefully in tiny quantities, plus whatever rain he could collect. But he also used basic evaporation techniques to supplement his water supply. He proved something the scientific community debated for years, that a person could survive at sea with the right knowledge, using only what the ocean and the sun provided. He wasn't lucky, he was prepared, and there's a big difference. Today, larger-scale versions of this same principle, called desalination plants, produce billions of gallons of fresh water every year. Saudi Arabia gets more than half of its drinking water from the sea. So does Israel. So do parts of Australia and California. The same basic science, just scaled way up. Now, I want to be straight with you here because I think it's important. A basic solar, still built with a bowl and plastic wrap, is not going to solve a city's water crisis. It's not going to produce gallons and gallons per day. On a really good sunny day, a small setup like this might give you half a cup to a cup of water. That's not a lot, but in a survival situation, in an emergency, when you're stuck somewhere and there's no other option, half a cup of clean water could be the difference between life and death. The goal isn't to replace your tap. The goal is to know that if you had to, if everything else was gone, you could make water appear from almost nothing, using the sun, a little physics, and $10 worth of materials. That's a powerful thing to know. We live on a planet that is almost entirely covered in water, and yet, one of the most dangerous things that can happen to a person is running out of something safe to drink. It's basically just knowledge. The ocean isn't the problem. The salt isn't even really the problem. The problem is not knowing that water and salt can be separated by something as simple and free as sunlight. That's what solar distillation teaches you. Not just a trick, a way of seeing the world differently. So that's the $10 trick that can turn salt water into drinking water. Solar distillation. Simple science, ancient principle, real results. If you found this useful, share it with someone. Not because I'm asking for the algorithm, but because this is genuinely the kind of knowledge that could help somebody someday. And if you want more videos like this, practical science-based stuff that actually matters, hit subscribe. I put one out every week. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.